Hanging with D's. Here we are back again, live for you on this Wednesday night. Getting ready to kick off week 3. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. And yes, I look absolutely ridiculous, but you know what? It's fucking Raiders week, and that calls for a little bit of crazy. I'm your host, D. Of course, with me there next to me is the Bubba J, Cowboy fan. You know, nobody's perfect. We've covered that multiple times.
Except for the
Um,
Cowboys this year.
Obviously, yeah, I'm obviously in much better spirits than I was a week ago because a win always makes you feel better, no matter how fucking ugly it is. And we're going to get to all that, go over our week 2 picks. We'll make our week 3 picks and then get to the news of the day. And there was actually quite a bit of it today.
Quite a bit.
Let's just go ahead and lead off with some of those headlines before we dive into my Steeler take. And I guess we probably get his thoughts on those fucking Cowboys a little bit. But so looking at the news of the day, I would say as of right now, the biggest story is just literally within the last few hours, the Minnesota Vikings have made a trade and picked up Cam Akers from the Rams. And that's a little like I don't get what's going on there. What happened with Cam Akers? Like why is he
Uh,
in why was he in McVay's doghouse so bad?
there's got to be off the
You
field
know?
stuff. It's been really hush hush. So obviously it's behind the scenes because there hasn't been a whole lot on the field to complain about. He hasn't seen a lot of play time. Um, but
No, and he finished last year really strong.
yeah,
You know, I thought that he was going to be the feature back, and if I'm not mistaken, he had a pretty solid game in week 1. I can't remember for certain, but I was thinking that he was good, and then he was pretty much inactive for week 2, and
right.
now
Healthy
he's a Minnesota
scratch.
Viking who definitely needs the help. Vikings, you know, they thought Madison could carry the load with the loss of Dalvin Cook, and that has proven to not be the case
Right.
thus far, anyway. So they basically told him to take a back seat, and Cam Akers is coming in. Not sure how much Cam will play this upcoming week. Obviously, he's going to have to get up to speed, but if he can step into that role and do what he's done for the Rams, it's definitely going to help. It's going to take a little pressure off. And sitting at 0-2, they have been putting numbers up, putting points on the board, just can't get a win. So maybe Cam can help eat a little bit more clock in that run game and not rely so much on Kirk and Jefferson and the boys.
Sure. And like you said, Madison obviously can't handle he's the load himself. He's definitely not a 3 down back. Um, this committee though with Cam and Madison might be something to watch. As far as for a football fan, um, they're both they both can catch the ball. Um, as a fantasy standpoint, their stock went way down. If you got either one of them on your fantasy team, that's always never a good thing when you're working in a committee, um, especially in a pass first
Yeah.
offense like Minnesota. But time will tell. But I don't know exactly what pushed him out the door so fast after such a what it looked like an exciting homecoming. Re-welcoming back for the season. My only guess is it's completely 100% speculation. Is it has to be off the field or locker room stuff.
Yeah. The Vikings have only rushed for 69 total yards, so they definitely needed the help. So it'll be interesting to see how well he fits in with that scheme and if he can bring a little bit of balance and, like I said, take some of that pressure off. Other big running back news, the Browns have reunited with Kareem Hunt on a 1-year deal worth up to $4 million with incentives, I believe.
Right.
And of course, we'll get into it a little bit when we talk about it, but he's replacing, of course, Nick Chubb, and holy shit,
Yeah,
That was nasty.
it was heartbreaking.
I ha- haven't seen any actual reports as far as what the extent of that damage is, other than that it's significant and that he's on IR.
Right.
You know,
I did see a tweet today
football field again.
that surgery went well, but there was no specifics on what was operated on other than obviously his knee. But it's the same knee he injured back in 2015 when it went
Yeah,
the wrong way.
tore his MCL, PCL, and
And LCL.
LCL,
Yeah.
plus a dislocation.
Yep.
And he, without question, dislocated at this time. The question is, you know, did he re-tear all those? Did he also get the ACL? Because that fucker went sideways.
Right.
We were sitting there. I was actually playing. I was playing NBA 2K while I was watching the game, and I saw him go down. And I was like, "Uh-oh!" I'm like, "They just said they're not going to show the replay. I don't know what's up." So
Right.
my boy that I was playing with, he's like, "Oh, got it. Check the Discord." And so I'm sitting there, I pull it up on my phone, and you know, I'm in a Xbox party with everybody. I'm like, "Oh!" And they're like, "What? What was it bad?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's just real fucking bad."
Right.
And like I said, if it had been his other knee, you know, obviously maybe that's something you can come back from. But for it to happen to the same leg, I just yeah, Jimmy Rich's cartilage damage before as well.
Yeah, he messed that knee up real bad in college.
I'll be shocked if
yeah, he's lucky he even got drafted and got to play. That injury was bad.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if he comes back. I really will. And that's sad because look, I'm a Steeler fan. I fucking hate the Browns. But that being said, I would never, you know, want something like that to happen to somebody's career, you know, other than, you know, Lamar Jackson. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of football, you don't want to see that to anybody. You know, I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan, but I didn't want to see him go down. I was excited to watch the Jets season. You know, I like running backs. I said that before. I love watching a team run the ball and just pound defenses in the middle of the field. And to have the best, arguably the best runner go down with an injury like that, it's a sad day for football.
Yeah.
And it could be a career ender. I mean, it really could.
Yeah.
And
And
it sucks. He's only like, what, 26, 27 years old?
If that, yeah. Like Jacob said, Jake Mills, my buddy, looked a lot like the Willis McGahee thing.
Yep. And what another all-star running back.
The one the other one I was thinking of was Napoleon Kaufman for the Raiders. His went back like completely backwards 90 degrees back in the day. And I mean, medical technology is a little different. I mean, he never played again.
Right.
And did McGahee ever try and come back? I don't remember. When he did his was really bad too. I can't remember if he made a comeback on that or not. Jake, if you're still there, you're the guru there. You probably know that. I can't remember if he did come back or not, but
Jimmy might
I'll be shocked
I could look it up.
Chubb makes it back. And then he did because you're right. Yeah. Yeah. He did that happened in college. The McGahee.
Oh, injury. It did?
And then he came and played in the NFL. Yeah. I do remember that. Yep. Was it in a bowl game or late in the season? I do remember that because people speculated whether or not he would ever even make it to the pros, and it was, you know, this big story. Played for the Browns Yep. Played for the Browns and the Broncos. Then Jake comes in and says he was at Miami against Ohio State in the Orange Bowl. Yes. Yep. So, all right. We'll get a little bit more back to Nick Chubb when we go talk Steelers here. Let's talk a couple of the stories of the day. Obviously, the Bears defensive coordinator Alan Williams has resigned after not coaching this past week for quote unquote family and health issues. Turns out there's some rumors of a potential police raid on his home.
Yep.
Not sure what, why, when that would be, but anyway, he has decided to go ahead and step away from the team and focus on those issues. I'm sure we'll get more to that story here fairly soon, but doesn't look like their defense is all that stout anyway. And if anything, they need another offensive coach to help whip Justin Fields back into shape, and
Right.
might as well piggyback this on top of that.
You gotta get the robot throwing the ball right.
Right. Do you have his quote, what he said, or?
Yeah. Yeah. Where'd it go? Dang it. He said something to the regards of, they got me out here playing like I'm a robot. Something's got to change. It might be coaching.
They asked him why.
Right. He goes, well, it's not me. It might be the coach. And then he's got to
and he did come back and clarify.
Yeah, he says, you guys' jobs are to get clicks, so it's like, take my quote out of context and we can just say that. I'm not blaming anything on the coaches. I'm never going to blame anything on the coaches. I'm never going to blame anything on my teammates. Whatever happens in the game, I will take all the blame. But yeah, he retracted it immediately.
And I tend to believe him. I don't think he necessarily meant to say, oh, it's all their fault.
No.
Like we talked about before we actually went on the air. I think it was more along the lines of, I'm trying to be that pocket passer. And so when I'm in the game, that's my mindset. And it just kind of gets in his head. Still not a good sign if you're a Bears fan that,
right.
You've been playing football your entire life. Like, just play. Like, if you can't make it happen, just play. Brian Baldinger showed a clip where he literally has one of the cleanest pockets you'll ever see in an NFL game. It's a pocket that quarterbacks have, wet dreams about. And not only that, he's got at least 3 wide open targets. And he doesn't throw any of them the ball. And I believe ends up taking a sack or maybe gets a 1 or 2 yard gain. But that's what they're talking about. Like, he's trying so hard to be this pocket passer, and that's just not him.
Right.
And it may never be him, and he's going to have to just let it rip, or he's going to be out of the league, a la Terrell Pryor. Sure. Those legs only get so far. As much as I like to hate on him, I'll give credit where it's due. Lamar Jackson has evolved his game to where he's still dangerous, but he is becoming slightly, Jake, you've been following me a long time. This is really fucking hard for me to admit. Slightly better passer. I still don't believe that he's an elite level quarterback. He is without question an elite level athlete who can make some plays, but he's gotten better. You see him actually maybe like go through some progressions as opposed to drop back. No, Mark Andrews, I'm running. Now he actually tries to find things. Although, for the sake of my fantasy team, maybe you ought to fucking try and find Odell Beckham Jr. a little more, you asshole. Although now he's hurt, doesn't matter. But
yeah, I'm not too happy with his
his
receiver selection either. I got a couple of teams with OBJ on it too that he could definitely find a few more points, and I wouldn't be upset. But and as far as himself too, he's not putting up the fantasy numbers that I expected. Either. So
no
we'll turn it on though.
AFC North is lighting it up yet.
Yeah, they'll still make the Super Bowl and win it, but it's just not going to be in the illustrious fashion I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Other news, we Saquon Barkley gets hurt again, although looks like they dodged a bullet. They're calling it just a good old-fashioned ordinary ankle sprain, not the dreaded high ankle sprain. Right. So he'll probably be out a couple of weeks, 2 to 3, and then hopefully come back and be able to help them because they look dead. 6 quarters without a point, and then it's like the Cardinals were like,
nowhere.
Wait a minute, what are we doing?
Yeah. Oh, we can play football.
Cardinals were like, fuck, we're supposed to tank this. Yeah. We forgot we're supposed to lose these games.
Right.
So the Giants storm back and get the win there. Now, week 2, we made our picks, and after a strong showing for me in week 1, I went 11 wins and just what, couple losses? I don't remember the exact number, but this week I still had 11, but I lost 4, whereas Bubba storms back with 13 wins and only 2 losses. Of course, we split on the Packers Atlanta, and
Right.
Packers really let that one fucking get away. And then we split on the Cincy Ravens.
Overtime game.
Yeah, Joe Burrow is it appears that calf was more of a problem than he was letting on. In fact, I believe he left that game late as well, and now they're saying that he re-aggravated it. So it'll be interesting to see if they don't hold him out a week or two. But I mean,
Right,
you're
like Jake
0-2.
just
Can you
asked.
do it?
I mean, they really could sit him. It wouldn't surprise me if they did. Especially if you're looking at long-term health. If you're trying to make a playoff run, you can do it with 4 losses. You can do it with 6 losses. So get him healthy, get him back in the game. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps and let's win some games down the stretch. But if you keep him in there, he's going to react.
Well, they got the Rams this week. Then they got the Titans. Then they got the Cardinals. Then they got the Seahawks. So realistically, I think the Rams game is winnable. Titans game might be a little bit tough if Burrow's not there, because if he's not there to hit that big play, the Titans could control the game on the ground. But like you said, you're going to need him down the stretch. So if it's a matter of sit his ass out for a few weeks and then let the cards fall with where they may, their schedule after the Seahawks, then they have the Niners, Bills, Texans, then they got Ravens, Steelers, Jags. Yeah, it's if they're going to rest him and they got the Chiefs late in the year, they need to do it now. Get it out of the way.
And
or they're going to be in big trouble.
And they ain't got a bad backup. I mean, I don't know much about this Jake Browning, but they signed Will Grier. Will Grier came from the Cowboys, but
Cowboys, that's right.
He's good. He's not a bad quarterback. He's got experience. He's won games.
Has he?
I've never heard
regular
of this.
Season games against.
Yeah, I've never heard of this. Jake
Has
Browning.
Grier ever played in the regular season? Yeah, they got to make a decision quick, or they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Which again, we'll speculate on that. But before we get into my Steelers stuff, what'd you see with Dallas this week?
Hunger. They are
so
excited to win games. Their defense, of course, is still really good. I saw a lot of good decision making from Dak Prescott. Again, we got CeeDee Lamb involved early and putting up big numbers. We're not making mistakes. It's not typical Cowboys football, and I'm excited to see it. I still don't fully trust the McCarthy play calling and giving Dak the reins and stuff yet. If it continues, then I might have a different tone in a couple weeks. But that defense it's insane.
Yeah. Are you concerned at all that they couldn't produce a touchdown in the second half, or do you attribute that more to the way the Jets play defense?
No, it's definitely concerning. But it could also be a game plan thing that none of us really know about. The Jets have a good defense, and they really could have just had that locker room talk at halftime and said, listen, buckle down, get these guys. We saw something on film or during the game. This is what they're doing. Let's attack it. And, but it also could have been a little bit of conservancy on Dallas's part.
Yeah, because I mean, you were up what 20 or no 22-10, something like that, or
Yeah, I believe so.
wasn't really a whole lot of. To answer your question, Jake, yes, Will Greer is from West Virginia. He's a 5th-year guy.
Yep.
And then Jake Browning is a rookie out of Washington.
Okay. Yeah. Greer was a 3rd-round pick by Carolina in 2019.
Okay.
He played 2 games at Carolina in 2019, 28 of 52, 228 yards, 4 interceptions. And then he was a backup for
Zach
Dallas.
Wilson, 3 picks. Not a good look for the Jets there.
No,
But
definitely
again,
not.
he's playing one of the top defenses in the league. He's got Micah Parsons
Sure.
all over his ass for the entire game.
I mean, now, like you can credit that to being pressured and getting forced out of the pocket, but he made some very bad decisions with the ball that could have a couple feet left, still have a receiver in the area throwing it out of bounds. You're not trying to force that in and get the interception, or you get your touchdown quicker, or just throw it out of bounds, or just run it, or take a knee, something. But giving the ball away 3 times is unacceptable as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Trust me, I know, because our quarterback did it a lot last year. And I was screaming for his head.
Yeah.
A lot last year.
One of the bigger surprises for me for this week, especially for the Sunday games, was the Seahawks. I would have I never would have predicted A, the Seahawks would score 37 points, and B, that they would win in Detroit the way they did.
Right. Yeah, that was
Geno
definitely
Smith
not a
looked
game
strong again. He had 2 tuds, 328 yards. Lions, I still believe in the Lions and good old MCDC, but they are going to have to shore up that defense if they're going to be an actual contender before this is all said and done.
For sure. Yeah, you can't.
Goff had a great game. Amon St. Brown, another good game.
Yeah. No, I mean, and
let's see.
they didn't
Jahmyr
really.
Gibbs hasn't really flashed.
Yeah, it was the passing game. I mean, Geno Smith threw for over 320 yards, no interceptions. They didn't really run the ball well. I think Detroit held him to under 80 yards rushing.
82 total yards.
Yeah, so that's really good, especially when you have a Geno Smith who can get out of the pocket and scramble and run, and that Kenneth Walker is seeming to be a pretty good back for him. And to hold him to 82 yards, you're doing something right on defense. It definitely looked that game your secondary or your play calling, too much man coverage or something like that was your downfall.
And they're the team, they lost their linebacker, right?
Who?
Shaq, what the hell's his name? The Seahawks. There was a linebacker, I think, for the Seahawks that broke his leg. If I'm not mistaken.
I didn't hear that. I didn't get to see the game. I got to watch highlights, but I didn't get to see the injury.
Hey, what's up, Rymac? Good to see you over this side, bro. He says, is Green Bay going to fire their DC anytime soon? Multiple first-round picks, and they can't stop anyone on the ground for the last several years. Yeah, it seems like they have flashes, that Green Bay defense. And I want to say that they have a solid front, but I think their linebacking core is a little bit on the weaker side. I know they got a couple of great corners, but God, what is that dude's name? I could have swore it was the Seahawks that lost a linebacker, like their starting linebacker early.
I didn't see nothing.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it wasn't the Seahawks. Anyway, all right. Well, let's get to my Steelers. Bobby Wag. No, it wasn't Bobby. It was Shaquille somebody. Shaq somebody.
Bill Griffith.
I do remember
Griffin?
the first name. I just can't remember. Could be it.
We had pulled it up right here and see.
And you'd think we'd
Seahawks
a little
offensive
fucking research
tackle.
here, but
Lions. I don't see any linebackers.
there's nobody named Shaq on the Seahawks.
No, only people out for the Seahawks were Charles Cross, Boye Maffey, Mike Morris, Devin Bush, and Jamal Adams. Lions was Taylor Decker, Josh
Devin
Pascal, Emmanuel Mosley, and Khalil Dorsey.
I think Devin Bush was a healthy scratch because he's fucking trash.
And the only injuries during the game was DJ Metcalf returned with a rib injury. Tariq Woolen was questionable return for Seattle. He was a cornerback. And then, of course, David Montgomery went down. And Amon St. Brown had cramping, but he came back in.
Yeah. I know it wasn't the Shaq Leonard for the Colts. I know it wasn't that guy. Was it Shaq? Was it Shaq Bennett from the Bucks? Maybe. Just click on them and see. Who are their linebackers? Was it? It might have been Shaq Barrett. Now that I think about it. No, he's the one who had the daughter that drowned in the pool.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll think about it as soon as we fucking stop this broadcast. But all right. Now, let's talk Monday night. Obviously, the reason I'm here. Pittsburgh Steelers. Wasn't pretty, but as I so often say, since Matt Canada took over, a win is a win is a win.
And boy, was it an ugly one.
Says we're not going to apologize. Yeah, very ugly. Again, offense struggled mightily. Did have a couple of bright spots. Obviously, the George Pickens 71-yard touchdown, where I know he only clocked, I think, a 4.45 at the combine, but on that catch,
he was humming.
Looked fast.
I even screamed.
Yeah,
I even screamed it. It's like that was fast. That boy can run. But he's also 6'5". So 3 of his steps are and he's in the zip code.
He was running like a goddamn gazelle. And before I go any further, let me just say thank you to TJ Watt and Highsmith, because man, what better bookends.
And what a start
in the NFL
game.
right now. I can't think of a better tandem. Oh, right. Minka, which shocked me that Minka didn't make that catch. That's usually something that he is right there on the deflection, but instead he bobbles it, and Highsmith is there to make the snag. And he kind of looked like his old high school running back days there, because boy, once he got stride, looked like he had some wheels on him. And then when he comes free in that fourth quarter, makes the big hit. TJ wisely doesn't dive on it, gets the scoop, loop, and score is what I call it, because he caught it, looped around, and then it was gone. And we obviously needed it because there was it wasn't Elias, but there's another one of those like stat bureaus out there, and they said that nobody in the last century, which could be a bit of a trick, because technically if they mean century, then that's the last 20 years. But the Pittsburgh Steelers went into the fourth quarter trailing and only produced -7 yards of offense and managed to come back and win.
Right.
What the
Thank-
fuck? Like,
Thank God for defenses.
and where the fuck is Pat Fryermuth? Could somebody answer me that? Didn't even hear his fucking name called once.
Nope.
I'm dumbfounded. Darnell Washington, same thing.
It was the
You know,
weirdest
I saw them
game
in the
I've
game.
ever watched.
Yeah, it defied explanation. And again, don't get me wrong. It says it right there on the screen, Fire Canada, which I 1000% support that
You
message.
support-
And
Yeah, we
hats
need to
off
get
to
a
the
petition
fans.
going, and you be the first signature for sure.
Yes, first, last, whatever it takes. His play calling is absolute ass, but at the same time, I'm starting to worry about one Kenny Pickett because he looked terrible against San Francisco, but I thought, okay, I don't know, jitters. San Francisco's a great defense, but again, this game against Cleveland, there were plays he left a lot of meat on the bone. There were open guys. There were just flat out bad throws, poor decisions. I hope he gets it together because it's not Trubisky and Mason Rudolph. I don't think are the answer. Kenny has the talent. I saw it last year. It was there. I'm just worried that he's going to get into his head a little too much and just continue to plummet. Parody song instead of blame. Yeah, fire. Yeah, no shit. We need to get on that. Instead of blame Canada from South Park, change it to Fire Canada.
Yeah.
And I love fucking Najee Harris. Yeah, I love Najee Harris, but I think it's time that he takes the back seat. And I think we talked about this last week. Get Warren a lot more touches early on. Make the defense chase him around a little bit because Warren hits the hole and goes. Like there's no dancing. There's no, let me pick my spot. He just goes. If it's there, great. If it's not, it's not. But I think if you get him involved a little more early on, make those guys chase him. Then you bring in the big guy. Then you bring in Najee to wear him down. The offensive line, we rebuilt it. Thought it was going to be a strength, has turned into a weakness. Dan Moore, who had a really good camp, really good preseason, fought off a Broderick Jones. While I will tip my cap to him for holding Myles Garrett to just one tackle, in the run game, Dan Moore was terrible. In the run game, Mason Cole was terrible. I don't know if bringing in a rookie Broderick Jones will save that, will make that better, but we can't afford to wait around to find out at this point. We're sitting at 1-1, in good shape as far as the division goes because we got Bengals at 0-2, Browns 1-1, Ravens are right there, one game ahead, but we have a matchup with them coming up very soon. So, like, I'm not throwing in the towel just yet on individual players. I am throwing in the towel on Matt Canada. I think he's fucking inept. And I know that it's going to take a lot more bad to happen for Tomlin to step in and do anything mid-season. That's just not his style. It's not the Steelers' style. I don't even know who they would rely on to become the play caller if they were to get rid of him. But after watching this week, we've got no touches for Fryermuth. Go ahead.
Would that be something Tomlin would take on? I know he's more of a defensive guy, but would that be something he could take over play calling? Or would they have to bring somebody in or upgrade a special teams guy or an intern or some fan who's screaming from the stands? Who would call the plays?
Yeah, I don't think it would be Tomlin. He says he has a hand in game planning and things like that and some of the bigger decisions, but and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. If I had to guess just off the top of my head, I would say that it might be like the wide receivers coach. I'm not sure that they have a per se quarterbacks coach
I was just
on
going to ask
staff
who's their
right now.
quarterbacks coach.
Yeah, I think their offensive line coach is fairly new this year. I want to say they brought him in from somewhere else. So, and maybe that's what's holding him back. Who knows? All I know is that at its current production rate, he's got to go. Canada, regardless, I don't care what happens the rest of the season. I don't want Matt Canada back. Unless starting next week, this offense puts up fucking 600 yards and 40 points every week. I'm done with Matt Canada. I'm done with jet sweeps. I'm done with all this bullshit high school motion that ends in nothing. And Kenny Pickett is young right now and coachable. And the more that he has these bad games, and we've seen it countless times with young quarterbacks, once they get, that failure gene ingrained into their head, they don't ever get it back. I mean, look at Ryan Leaf and what happened to him. Guy had all the talent in the world, but shit went wrong and he never got it back and ended up selling drugs. And granted, happy ending. Now he's back on TV, but Jake, Pat McAfee, which I know you watched, he made that, and even Tone Diggs made the same thing, talking about Big Ben coming in to call plays, who he knows the system. I don't think Ben would ever do it. I would welcome it with open arms, but I can't see it happening.
No, I mean, your quarterback coach is Mike Sullivan. He's an 18-year veteran.
Okay,
he actually worked with Manning in New York when they won their Super Bowl in 2011.
Well, then give him the fucking job yesterday, because it can't get any worse than Matt Canada. It just can't. Right. There should be game plans for Freiermuth to get at least 5 looks a game, regardless of what routes you send him in. He's too good not to. Short yardage passing. Darnell Washington is a fucking monster. Get him involved. George Pickens caught 4 balls. I think he was targeted 7 times, maybe 8. And granted, without Deontay Johnson, that's a big ask. So we'll see what happens when Deontay comes back, if Deontay comes back. But it sounds like he should only miss a couple, 2 to 3 weeks. They said it was a mild hamstring sprain. So.
Well, do you blame any of the play
I'm fucking over
from
this
Pickett on the offensive line?
Yeah, the offensive line has not been good at all, 100%. But there are plays there, and Pickett is just flat out missing them. I'm not, like I said, I cannot pinpoint everything on Matt Canada. I can't pinpoint everything on the offensive line. It is a perfect storm of shit. It just, sometimes it's a play call. Sometimes the protection breaks down. Sometimes Kenny just flat out either misses a wide open guy or throws a poor pass. It's a perfect storm of not good things, and they need to get it fixed and get it fixed in a hurry. And this is the time to do it. Like, sure. This is the easiest part of their schedule coming up right now, with the Raiders, who will probably present a little bit of a challenge. They haven't looked awesome, but for some reason, Pittsburgh and the Raiders, weird shit happens, and they have, gotten over on us when they shouldn't have. So I'm not chalking that up as a 100% win. But again, if we're going to get healthy, it has to be now, because we have the Raiders, the Texans, then we got the Ravens, and then we got the Rams, and then shit gets rough because we have Jags, Titans, Packers, Browns, Bengals. Yeah. So these next 3 weeks are going to tell a big, big tale as to what this Pittsburgh Steelers team can or can't do going forward.
Right.
Now, speaking of that Ravens game, I'm going.
Are you?
Yep. My brother, it's actually my cousin, knows a guy who is from Pittsburgh, has season tickets, and they go to a game every year. My cousin, due to circumstances out of his control, won't be able to make it. So I get to go to see Pittsburgh play the Ravens. So I'm going to get as much like tailgate footage. Yeah, I'm gonna get as much footage and stuff as I can. Put that on the show, and hell, I might even go live while I'm there tailgating. I can't wait. I haven't been to Pittsburgh in, oh God, when was the last time we went? 2003, maybe. It was either 2002, 2003. Tommy Maddox was our quarterback. Amos Zaraway was our running back. Bettis was coming off the bench. And the last time I was there, we actually played the Ravens. So,
Perfect.
me personally, if I was going to go to Pittsburgh, I would have probably picked the the Cardinal game because I hate to travel all that way. But look, it's going to be a great environment for a Ravens game, and I'm stoked. I just hope we have good weather, and yeah, hopefully I'll bring back a bunch of footage and we'll throw that on there. So, I was trying to think if there was anything else from that game that stuck out other than obviously Freiermuth doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, and the injury to
yeah.
There was a lot to take away from that game, but none of it was really positive.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I did want to address to the first off, classy move by the Steeler fans in attendance that
Absolutely.
were chanting Nick Chubb's name as he was being carted off. So yeah, hats off to them. You know, it's a heated rivalry. So I'm glad that the Pittsburgh fans, you know, acted accordingly.
Yeah.
As for the Cleveland Brown fans on X/Twitter that were basically calling Minkah Fitzpatrick a dirty player, go fuck yourselves.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you do when you have a 240-pound running back and you're a 210-pound safety. You got to go low.
Right.
You know, the
and
NFL
that's
says
a
you can't hit
common
him in the head.
tackle. It's taught ever since you're 4 years old is go for the knees and legs. Yeah, I don't agree with this whole not wrapping up tackle stuff. You know, just kind of running into his shoulder, you know, with your shoulder and stuff. But I don't think Fitzpatrick had a dirty play. I don't think he's a dirty player. He was clearly shook.
No, there was
after
no
it happened.
malintent there.
He was clearly visibly upset about what happened. You know, he didn't want that to happen. He didn't try to do that.
Hell no. Nope. And like I said, he's never been known to be the head hunting type, nothing like that. You know, he's a clean player. He ended up getting hurt on that long Ford run there in the third quarter, went to the hospital. They feared a collapsed lung, but it just turns out it was just a contusion. So he may miss this week. We'll see how he feels for tomorrow's, or no, this is Wednesday. So I guess it would be by Friday. If he ain't good to go by Friday, typically players that don't participate Friday don't play on Sunday in Mike Tomlin's regime. So we'll see. But the injuries are piling up for us, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Again, I guess if I was going to pick a time of the year for this to happen, it's now. It's early. Get them out of the way, because with a 17-game season and the way that the AFC is set up, we can drop a few games and still make a run late if we get our shit together.
Right.
So hopefully that happens. Now, let's go ahead and jump right into week 3. Give you our picks. And do you have the document pulled up so that as we're going through this, you can type those out?
Sure.
Okay. All right. We're going to kick it off with tomorrow night's I don't even know how to describe this. Going into the season, huge matchup. After what we've seen from the Giants, I'm not so sure. But tomorrow night, Amazon Prime, Giants travel to San Francisco, a little East Coast, West Coast, to take on the 49ers, who struggled in the first half against the Rams, but then kind of got away from them a little bit. Giants coming in 6 scoreless quarters before they woke up and beat the Arizona Cardinals. I I got to ride the hot hands here, and that's San Francisco.
Oh, absolutely. If anybody picks the Giants to beat San Francisco, either they've got the script and we don't know that that's going to be a upset, but the Niners got this hands down, no doubt. They could bench half their starters and still win this game probably.
Yeah, the only way that I would maybe even consider the Giants is if this was a noon game in New York. And
No,
that's
not
only
even
based
then.
on the West, but probably not. Probably not. Especially, yeah, well, okay. And Saquon was healthy. Let's put it that way. That's their
And
only
Bosa
shot. But
was
without
hurt, and
Saquon, yeah,
Purdy
they're gonna.
caught COVID, and C-Mac forgot how to run. It's not going to happen. It ain't. And if it does,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll eat 10 fucking ghost peppers on there. It's not going to happen.
All right. Well, I might clip that because we'll see. All right. So we're both gonna go with San Francisco there.
Yep.
And you just reminded me of something. And before we jump into the Sunday slate of games, I just have one last thing to say regarding my Steelers. I don't ever want to hear Myles Garrett's fucking name in the same sentence as TJ Watt again, unless
No.
the sentence is exactly this. Myles Garrett is not as good a defensive football player as TJ Watt. That's the only fucking sentence that's acceptable. I'm tired of hearing it. Look at the stats when they're head to head or whatever. TJ Watt beats him in almost every category. The fucking discussion is over.
Myles Garrett's good. He's a good edge rusher, but he is not.
Great. He's great.
If you had tiers, like they do quarterbacks and teams, he's not tier 1. He's probably not even tier 2.
No, it's Watt,
but he's
Bosa,
good. I mean, he's the best defensive player on the Brown side of the ball, probably. But
yeah,
no, definitely not top tier. No way.
No.
I mean, you're looking at top tier, like you got Watt, Bosa, Parsons. I mean, those are your.
Yep.
No, Myles Garrett is nowhere close to them.
If the voting were today, there's nobody that you could give Defensive Player of the Year to other than TJ Watt right now. Micah garners some votes. He's been solid, but TJ Watt has just fucking been an animal. He's on pace for 34 sacks right now.
It's one of them two. And those two, if you had to pick a Defensive Player of the Year right now,
if they both stay healthy, that's going to be an interesting race.
Right. Yeah. He's going to, I'd hate to see him be a bridesmaid 3 years in a row. Micah has been defensive.
TJ was.
Yeah. Well, I'd hate to see it though. I didn't.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, TJ won it 2 years ago, and there was a very strong case for him to have won it the 2 years prior to that, but he didn't. So as long as he stays healthy, like I said, it's going to be basically between him and Micah. All right, moving into Sunday's games. Starting off with the noon games, we got the Tennessee Titans traveling to the Cleveland Browns, who, as we discussed, are going to be without Nick Chubb, at least for this year, possibly forever. And we'll see how that goes. Tennessee coming in 1-1, both of them 1-1 in Cleveland. Obviously, they signed Kareem Hunt, who knows the system, so that might speed the process up as far as how many touches he gets. We'll see what his legs are like, coming in with no camp and what kind of shape he's in.
Right.
Deshaun Watson has still not recaptured the form that made him now at this point the most overpaid player in the history of the NFL.
Absolutely, and it's such a
you better start earning that money quickly.
Yeah, he's I really liked watching him. He was so good, and then all that off the field stuff happened, and then the getting cut and signing with Cleveland. It's just I really had high hopes for him this year to go back to that that rock solid quarterback form like he had 2 or 3 years ago in Houston, and he's a big disappointment so far.
Yeah. Yep. All that being said, Man, what's the line here? Line is Cleveland is giving 3.5. I'm going to give the edge to the Browns because the Browns defense is still in that upper tier. So I think Cleveland wins a close game here.
And we're gonna split this
Tannehill's
one.
been turning the ball over a little bit.
Yeah, I don't see the Browns.
Yeah,
winning
yeah. I
this
mean,
one
I could
either.
go either way.
I'm going to make a bold prediction on this one. Derrick Henry has not been super great, but I think he runs all over the Browns defense. I'm projecting over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns for Derrick
All
Henry.
right. That is bold. All right, moving on. We have the Falcons, the 2-0 Falcons, taking on the 1-1 Lions in Detroit. Man, this isn't the kind of bounce back game that the Lions were hoping for after the disappointing outing against the Seahawks.
Definitely
Falcons
not.
are coming in hot. I'm not off the train yet. I think old MCDC is going to get them whipped into shape. I think the Lions win a squeaker here. I think their offense is a little too high powered, whereas the Falcons are more ground and pound. And I think the Falcons going to fall here. I think I got the Lions.
Yeah, I got the Lions as well. I picked Atlanta as my sleeper team to sneak into the playoffs in the NFC, but a tough loss for Detroit last week. They're at home. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for Atlanta to walk in there and win. I think it's still being close. Yeah. I think it'd be a really good game to watch if you like watching football and not just one specific team. That's a game to watch, in my opinion. I'm glad it's a local team. It's going to be on TV. I'm going to get to watch it, and I'm going to be watching it. But Lions edge them out at home for sure.
Right on. Moving on, then we have the New Orleans Saints traveling to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Saints coming in at a sort of surprising 2-0. I guess not really considering who they played.
Should be 1-1. They should have lost
coming in at 1-1
last week, but they didn't.
Yeah. Packers coming in at 1-1. That's in Green Bay. I think the Packers bounce back. Saints have not looked great. Jordan Love has looked impressive, even though they let one get away from him. I'm going to go ahead and I think the Packers bounce back and get the dub here.
I'm going to go with the Saints. I think they're going to start 3-0. As a Dallas fan, you normally don't root for the Saints. And if any of my Saint fans are watching, I know Ken, if you're watching, you're probably rolling over right now. But I got to go with the Saints. They're looking good. They're finding a way to win games. And I don't like the Packers. I'm not a Jordan Love fan. I think they're gonna struggle.
There we go. Denver traveling down to Miami. 0-2 Denver Broncos and the 2-0 Miami Dolphins. At this point, from what I've seen from Miami, there's no way I cannot take them. They look like a juggernaut right now. Denver, not so much, although they were a missed pass interference call from potentially winning that game. And to go back, yes, I do believe Joey Porter Jr. should have been flagged, but we have been caught in that bullshit before, so fuck it. Anyway, yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins here.
Yeah, me too. To me, it's really it's not even close.
Yeah. Well, the spread is 6.5, and I believe they're going to cover.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Mac. I think they're covering by at least more than 7. Then we got the Chargers traveling to Minnesota. Both teams coming in at 0-2, so somebody gets into the win column here. Chargers continue to put points on the board, but they continue to not be able to stop anybody. Vikings, that run game is a huge question. We'll see whether or not Cam Akers can can get in there right away and take some of the carries there. I got to stick with my bold prediction here, and as the Chargers go the free fall, and I'm going to take the Vikings to get the win here.
Well, and I'm gonna side with you. And the Chargers are gonna make history, just like they're making history already. Like I put in the we got to talk about this stat for the Chargers. You have to. It's all over the media, social medias. It's all over everywhere. Last week, Herbert threw for over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Chargers defense sacked Tannehill 5 times. Derrick Henry was held to under 100 yards rushing, and they still lost. 33 teams since 1966 have scored 50-plus points and had no turnovers. Okay? But the Chargers are the only team to do that and lose both games. And I think they do it again. I think they put up numbers. I think the defense gets after Cousins. And I think they're the first team in history, if there is another team that's done it, which I don't think, but I think they go 0-3 with the stats of a team that should be 3-0.
That's a pretty damn rough stat.
Yeah, it's impressive, actually.
Moving on, we got the Patriots traveling to Jersey to take on the Jets. Patriots coming in at 2-2, Jets at 1-1. Oh man, Patriots have not looked horrible.
Nope.
In their 2 losses, and Jets have looked horrible even in their win. I think Belichick gets them off the schneid here. I think they're going to get the win. Patriots.
Well, I got to go with the Jets. I mean, you could arguably say both these teams are at home this week. Patriots are definitely going to travel well to this game. I just think that Jets defense is gonna get the better of them.
That's yeah, I think they'll keep them in it. I don't trust Zach Wilson enough to put enough points up. I think New England gets one of those New England wins with a late field goal, something along those lines, after a Zach Wilson turnover. So give me the Patriots there. Bills taking on Washington. Big shock there. Washington sitting at 2-0. Bills coming in at 1-1. Josh Allen had a big bounce back last week. So give me the Bills.
Yeah, same here.
Houston Texans traveling to Jacksonville. 0-2. Houston 1-1. Jacksonville didn't look great last week, but it was the Chiefs. I think they're going to get the win here. What better way to get healthy than play the Texans? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I got the same. I think I just don't trust anything to do with the Houston Texans. Jacksonville is, in my opinion, a better team.
Their entire offensive line is decimated right now.
Yeah.
So bad that they have Kendrick Green starting. So yeah, Jacksonville should win that one fairly easy. Then moving on, Colts take on the Baltimore Ravens. Last week, AR had another injury. I believe he was in the concussion protocol. Gardner Minshew came in, looked solid. Ravens are coming in at 2-0, but they are coming in a kind of sloppy 2-0. I think the Colts give them more than they're expecting, but give me the home team. I think the Ravens moved to 3-0, unfortunately.
Yeah, this was a hard one for me to pick, especially with the way Richardson's been playing. There's
Mhm.
talks of course, T coming back soon, maybe as soon as week 4 or 5. If they're going to make a run at it, and AR-15 is who he says he is, and JT is going to come back and sign a deal to go help this team do something, this is a game they need to win. I don't think they do, but this is a game they need to win. I think it's a really close game. Baltimore sneaks one out at home, but
Yeah,
I would
I
not be
expect it to
surprised if
be
Indy
close,
wins
and
this
I
game.
won't be shocked.
No,
I wouldn't be shocked if they do find a way to get this done.
Yeah.
I'd be tickled to fucking death, but I think this is going to come down to old numbnuts, greatest kicker probably of all time. I think he's going to be the difference here. Then we got the Carolina Panthers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Panthers have not really shown me anything. Seattle, I'm still, even though they had the big win in Detroit, I'm still not 100% on board with them. But I think they're going to definitely beat Carolina to go to 2-1.
yeah, I agree.
The Chicago Bears have not looked good in any way, shape, or form. And bad news, Bears. You got to go play the Chiefs. This is going to be ugly early, and I think the Chiefs probably win this one by at least
A lot.
15 to 20 points. The line is 12.5, but I think that's only because the NFL doesn't put out lines much bigger than that. So
Sure.
Chiefs are going to win this one fairly easy.
For sure.
Cowboys taking on the Arizona Cardinals, who look good in one half, or maybe it's because the Giants look so terribly bad. But yeah, I think the Cowboys handle business here very easily over there.
Yeah,
Dallas.
for sure. And even if they don't,
Josh Dobbs' life.
Yeah, he better put his running shoes on because they'll be after him. But even if the Cardinals play a good half of football, we know they're going to purposely do what they did last week and go for the Caleb Williams win. And Dallas takes this one for sure. I got to find a way to stream it because I want to watch the disaster that is this Cardinals offensive line against Dallas front.
Yep. Then Sunday night football, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a game I really wanted to go to, but ticket prices were fucking ridiculous. Traveling to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Like I said before, Steelers, Raiders, anything can fucking happen, and usually does. Raiders coming in at 1-1 have not looked great. Jimmy G has been pedestrian at best. But of course, our offenses looked absolutely atrocious. But here's the difference: we have Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt.
Chiefs by 40.
Without Minka, might be a little rough, but I got to take Pittsburgh. I think that stadium is going to be more Steeler fans than Raider fans. It's another primetime game, and Mike Tomlin tends to do well in primetime games, so I'm taking Pittsburgh here. Get the win. 2-1, baby.
It's gonna be a game to watch. I don't know for what reason, but like you said, Steelers Raiders is something always happens, and I'm not a Jimmy G fan at all. They're just not playing good football. Pittsburgh's not playing good football.
Yeah.
Man. I have it written down.
We got to get the tight ends involved.
Yeah, you got to get everybody involved. I mean, it's a football team. You got to. When do you come together? There's no better time than now for Pittsburgh to put the pieces together and go out there and put
points
35 points on them. They can throw the ball to George motherfucking Pickens.
Like I said, we got the Raiders this week. Raiders this week.
Let TJ Watt eat.
Texans next week.
Right.
Yeah.
I got to go with Pittsburgh. They got to put
this is when we got to see it.
They got to put it together.
I agree. And then yet again, a Monday night doubleheader. And like we talked about before, neither one of us like it. I haven't really talked to anybody or heard anybody that likes this doubleheader Monday night thing.
Right.
ESPN and ABC/Disney paid extra money to get extra games. So here we are, another doubleheader. Kicking it off, the early game, we have the Philadelphia Eagles going down to Tampa to take on the Bucks. I'm going to go with the Eagles. They're starting to get their stride. Baker Mayfield has looked great. I'll give him his props, but I think the Eagles are just too strong in too many areas, and they're going to get the win there.
Yeah, I agree. It can't last forever. We've seen it in Cleveland. Baker's going to Baker. I mean, it's got to stop soon. And I think this is the game where the
side note. Rumors abound that they are going to try and ship out Mike Evans, and Pittsburgh is actually being listed as one of the heavy favorites, and I'm here for it.
You got to get him throwing the ball. Then you can't throw it. You got George motherfucking Pickens, who's 6'5" and can run to the moon before you even know what happened.
You're preaching to the fucking choir, brother.
So
preaching to the choir, man.
Weapon so he can just miss that one too? I mean, Justin Fields missed two wide open receivers on the same play and took a sack. I saw the same thing from Kenny. Yeah. You're just going to put another veteran guy who wants the ball and not throw it to him?
The only way I think they go after Mike Evans, though, is if Deontay looks like he's not going to be back anytime soon. If it looks like he's going to be out 4, 5, 6 weeks, then maybe they make a play. But if it looks like he's going to be back in a week or two, I don't think they do it.
Sure.
Because they still have solid weapons there. But moving on to the final game of the week, Monday night at 7:15 Central Time, we have the Rams traveling to Cincinnati, and at this point, I don't know what they're going to do with Burrow. I haven't seen anything. I know it's speculated that he may miss it.
I've been looking.
I have to put a caveat on here. If Burrow is good to go, I have to take the Bengals, regardless of if he's 100% or not. If he doesn't play, give me the Rams.
Well, we got to go now. I mean, it's live. You're on television. We need to know. I know.
You know what? I hate the fucking Bengals. I hate the fucking Bengals. So give me the Rams. Bengals dropped to 0-3.
You think so?
If you put me on the spot,
you got to pick.
Something tells me they're going to sit Burrow, and the Rams, like I said, have not looked bad. Puka Nacua is, who the fuck is this guy? Oh, he's just like leading the league in receiving right now. So yeah, give me the Rams, the upset special. They got the whatever bad juju that Cam Akers brought to the team. They shipped him off. So yeah, give me the Rams. Fuck it.
Yeah, and I'm surprised you did that actually, because there's very few teams that I would pick to go 0-3, and Cincinnati definitely wouldn't be one of them. But after looking at this, what's happened and the injury, and who else can throw the football at that? And I mean, they got Will Grier, who I like. I think he's a solid quarterback. Yeah, he hasn't really proven himself yet. And then that rookie, but I mean, do you go get somebody? If his calf is really hurt and he's going to miss a few weeks, and they're going to purposely set him out for 3 or 4 weeks to make sure it's healed, who do you go get? Who's out there?
Yeah.
They have
Colin Kaepernick.
No, he'll never play in the NFL again.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm sick of hearing his name.
I'm sorry. No, it never will. But I agree with you. I think Cincinnati somehow, for some reason, would never have predicted this. The beginning of the season goes 0-3, and the Rams have a bounce back year, and they're coming.
Fair enough. I like it. Speaking of they're coming, just real quick before we wrap this up, what are your thoughts on the hit on Travis Henry?
Dirty.
Travis Henry.
Dirty. It was on purpose. Yeah. He was told before the game, if you get a chance, take it. We'll eat the consequences. I know for a fact that's what happened. That was so of a late hit,
And
uncalled for, deliberate.
I would give
deliberate.
him the benefit of the doubt if the ball was still in the air. But the ball had already hit the ground, was like 8 yards in front of him, and that safety or corner or whatever it was hooked back
Right.
and took that shot. So yeah, absolutely dirty, lacerated liver. He's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks.
He should lose a scholarship, or and the coach should be suspended or fined. I mean, that was no way you're going to convince anybody other than a Colorado State fan that wasn't intentional and target. I mean, the headhunt that was for sure a headhunting targeted hit. If you get a chance to take out one of these 3 players, you do it.
I agree. And they got Oregon this week, so I think.
Yeah, and well, and not only was the hit dirty,
time,
it lacerated the guy's liver.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a tough sport. It's a physical sport. Injuries are expected. They happen. Not like that, and not that severe when it was clearly intentional.
Yep, I agree. I'm not sure they can beat Oregon without Travis Hunter.
No, but I hope they do.
I think they're 21-point dogs. I do too, but until they shore up those lines, both offensive and defensive, which he says he's got, a big class coming, but I think that they're going to be brought back to reality. I think Oregon's going to get that win. I hope they don't, because I'd like to see this magical run continue, but it's going to be real tough to pull off without Travis Hunter.
Yeah, and they struggled in the first half against Colorado State. Like I said, I hope they beat them. I mean, I'm kind of a closet Oregon fan. I've always liked I'm not a huge college football watcher. I mean, I watch Illinois, and I watch a couple of the real big, like, ranked games. I watch a lot of bowl games, but as far as weekly games, I don't watch a lot of, just random teams play. But Oregon has always been one of them teams I liked. I love their uniform changes, and they got 10 different uniforms a season, and it goes back to the old Mighty Duck days. I just like the Ducks. I like what they do. So I'm kind of partial to that just for this specific game, but I would love to watch Colorado just stomp and just put all the naysayers to bed. We are who we are. It's going to happen. We're coming. The dogs are barking. I would love to see it.
Yep, me too. All right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for this week. We will be back here early part of next week to wrap up week 3 and hopefully talk about Colorado winning, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for checking it out. We will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Peace.